Hi guys, and welcome to my channel, and thanks for stopping by and watching. In this spray paint art video, I'll be trying out the Montana Black spray paint to see what it's like for spray paint art. Right, the Montana Black is Montana's middle price spray paint in their range. It comes in a 400ml can and has an high pressure valve system. It also comes with an orange dot fat cap. The lacquer base is Nitro Combi. It has a matte finish and there are around 187 colours in the range, including neon and metallic paint. The price per can may vary depending on what country you live in. In the UK it costs around £4.55 a can. And the colours I'll be using are Kicking Yellow, Irish Green, White and Black. Right, before I go any further, I'd just like to say these are my own thoughts and findings about how well the Montana Black spray paint works for making spray paint art. So the first thing I'm going to do is a cap test to see how the cap sprays. So I'll be using the stock cap that comes with the cans in this video, which is an orange dot fat cap, and I'll be doing the cap test on a 4-inch wide piece of glossy card. Right then, before you use the cans, make sure you give them a good shake for at least 2 minutes each. And when you get them, there'll be a plastic thing underneath the cap like this. It's called a donut. This is only there to stop the cap from pressing down so it doesn't spray everywhere while in transit. I'll be doing a cap test with the black spray paint. So when you receive these cans, all you have to do is pull the cap off like that, and then turn the can upside down, and then the donut, the plastic donut, will come out. So we'll chuck that to one side because we don't need that for now. And then just put your lid back on, your cap. So like I said, I'll be using the black for the cap test. So I'll just pull some of this black paint through the cap. Like I said, I'll be doing it on a piece of glossy card, which is this here, 4 inches wide. So as you saw there, the cap produced a wide line about 3.5 inches wide. It's almost as wide as a glossy card, which is 4 inches. It did let quite a bit of paint out as well, which is not that good. It might be a bit hard to do finer things in the painting. Right, I'll just move this can out of the way and give you a closer look at the line the cap produced. So a big wide line there. Now the cap test is out of the way, I'm going to see what it's like to paint with. So for this space painting, I'll be using glossy card, which is A2 in size. And the materials I'll be using are some plastic lid stencils. These are off food tubs, different size of lids off food tubs. I'm going to be using a metal paint scraper. I'm going to be using a palette knife to sign the painting with at the end. I'm also going to be using this food tub, which is a cone shaped food tub, and all I've done is put an hole in the bottom. And I'm also going to be using some plastic sheets like this. These are from a bag that I've cut up so it's easier to use. This will be used to make the texture on the planets and in the painting. So the first thing we'll do is get the lid stencils and place them on the sheet where you want your planets. So I think we're going to have a big one here. Going to have one there, one here, and one up there, I think. And then with a colour we're going to spray around the lid stencils to give you an outline of your planet. So I'll be using the Kicker Yellow for this. So I'll just pull some paint through the cap. And all we'll do is spray around these lid stencils. So I'll just test the cap, see what it's like, see how much paint it comes out, and what the pressure's like in the cans. So I'm going to press it light. So press it light and it doesn't let too much paint out. Nice dot there. So I'll press it a bit harder all the way down. And it does let quite a lot of paint out when you press the cap fully down. But the valve system's nice, not too hard, soft valve system, not that hard to press down either. Quite like that valve system, nice to use. Might struggle a bit when we're doing the smaller planets like this, with the amount of paint that comes out. We'll just have to press the cap down a bit lighter, so we don't get a pool in the paint. So now we have the outlines on the planet. We're going to take the lid stencils off and set them to one side for now. And then we're going to fill the outlines in with some colours. First I'll use the Irish green. I'm going to do this one first, the bigger one. So just pull some paint through this cap. So as you can see, you press it hard, quite a lot of paint comes out. So I'll just press it light. Just give a nice line there when you press it light, doesn't let too much paint out. Just gonna have to press these caps down a bit lighter so we don't get a pool of paint. Put a bit of green there, just light. So there are the colours on it. Now I'm going to add some black this side, just lightly, because there is quite a bit of paint down there now. So I'll pull some white through the cap, and I'll do the rest white. So now we have the colours down for the planet. We'll get the material we're going to use for the texture. Like I said, I'm using this plastic sheet, which is from a bag I've cut up. I'll just cut it up so it's easier to use. So screw it up, crunch it up so you get some lines like that. But for this one I'm going to crunch it differently. So I'm just going to pull the plastic like this. And then I'll give you different lines, different crinkles in your sheet, make some different texture on the planet. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put it on there and rub it lightly. Might do for this one, I might just pull it slightly back as well. So I like that texture on there, so I'm going to leave that. So now we're going to add the highlights and shadows to it. So with the white first, we're going to mist this side, the highlighted area. So I'll see what this cap's like for misting. So what we're going to do is be pressing the cap real light here to get like a mist, so you can still see the colours underneath the white. Yeah, you have to press the cap down real light on that to get like a mist. If I pressed it down any further, the cap, it'd have put all white here and you wouldn't have been able to see any of the colour underneath. But with it being an high pressure can and having a fat cap on, they're designed to let a lot of paint out. Because the high pressure cans are pushing more paint out, the valve system is, and with it being a fat cap, it lets a lot more paint out than say if you were using a skinny cap on them. So now we've added the highlights to that planet. I'm going to add the shadow here, this side with the black. So I'm just going to press it light. I think I'll do for a shadow on that planet. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to this one. So I'll get some green and some yellow. I'll just put a bit of green there, like that. some white and some black. So now I'll get another piece of plastic or whatever material you're using to make a texture with. What I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to fold this one in half like this. And then all I'm going to do is place it over paint and turn it. I'm just going to turn it again a bit more. So I quite like that one, so I'm going to leave a texture like that. And now we're going to add the highlights and shadows to it. So with the white again, just lightly press the cap. Now have a shadowed area. So like that, so now we're going to move on to these two smaller planets. So I'm going to do this one first. So a bit of green first, and some yellow, some black, and some white. We'll get another piece of the sheet or whatever material you're using. I'm going to crunch it up. I'm just going to place it on and give it a light rub. Just go over this part again a bit lightly. Just press it down real light. So I like the texture on that one as well. So I'm going to add the highlights and shadows to it. So with the white, I don't want to put too much white on there because like I said, quite a bit of paint comes out of these caps. Now a shadowed area. So that's that one done. Now I'm going to move on to the smallest one. So I'll have a bit of yellow first. So I'm going to spray this real light because there may be a chance of a paint pool in here in this small area. And some black and some white. So I'll get another piece of a sheet, plastic sheet, crunch it up again. And then just place it over it, give it a light rub. And we'll peel it off. Thing that I'll do, I like that texture. The paint has started mixing slightly here. Like I said, these caps will let a lot of paint out. So in a small area, it pulls up. So when you do your texture, if there's too much paint there, the paint starts mixing up. So then when you pull your material off to make your texture, the paint starts mixing. This is just slightly started now. But the texture still looks good on it, so I'm going to leave it like that. So now I'm going to move on to the highlights. So just press the cap lightly. And now the shadow area. So press that lightly again, because I don't want too much paint on there. Right, now we have all the highlights and shadows on the planet. It's time to put the lid stencils back on, but ideally you want the paint to be dry before doing that, because if the paint's still wet and you place your lid stencils on, the lid stencils will get stuck to the wet paint, so when you lift them off later on, they'll be stuck to the paint and may leave rings on your planets. But for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and place the lid stencils on while the paint is still wet. So the first one I'm going to do is put the big one on. So I'm going to have that one there. And then this one. Just make sure you got a bit of the highlighted area and the shadowed area underneath your lid stencil. So I'm going to have that one there. This one there. And then this small one. This paint's still pretty wet up here, but I'm still going to put the lid stencil on, so when I take it off later, if it does leave a ring on the planet where the lid's stuck to the wet paint, you know what I'm on, I can show you what I'm on about. So there are all the lid stencils on, and now we're going to move on to the background. First of all, I'm going to add some colours into the background. I think I might do like a galaxy or something here in the middle. So, I'm going to get the yellow first. Just going to spray it light. Well, in fact, I'm just going to press it down all the way to see how much paint comes out. Do you see how wide the line is when you press it down all the way? So that's some green. Some yellow, I mean. Now I'm going to put some green on. Might just add a bit of yellow around this here, like that. And also, when you're painting next to these lid stencils, just spray a bit lighter so you don't get no overspray underneath your lid stencil. So now we've got some colours on there. I'm going to get the black and cover it in black. So as you can see, using a fat cap and an high pressure can, it soon lets the paint out, lets a lot of paint out, so you can cover the background fast. The only thing I find, if you're using a fat cap, it lets too much paint out, so you get through the paint faster in the can. So now we've got the black on top of the colour. I'm going to do some texture in the painting, make like a galaxy or something. So for this, I'm going to get a plastic sheet again, and I'm just going to screw it up. And I'm going to go round and dab it where I put the colours on. And every so often you want to crunch it up again so you get a clean piece of plastic. So I'll just get another piece. See, because the fat caps let a lot of black paint out, picking a lot up. I'll just go around here, make it a bit more bigger around the edge. And just a bit more there, just sticking out, I think, coming out a bit like that. A bit more around there, make it a bit bigger, I think. Yeah, why not? A bit more around there. Just be a bit careful if you're doing the texture around your lid stencils, so you don't move them or knock them off, because they're hard to put back in place if you move them. Right, so I'll light the texture on that. So now I'm going to get the black and fill the rest of the sheet in black. So like I said, just spray a bit light around your lid stencils. You get no leaking underneath. If you press it light, it doesn't let that much paint out, which is good. Still covers quite a big area, even when you're pressing it light. So that's all the sheet black. So now I'm going to get, I think, shall I do first? I think I might do some green around the outside of it. So I'm just going to mist a bit of green around this outside, give it a bit of a glow shine to it. And I'll also see what it's like for misting. So all I'm going to do is pressing the cap down lightly, the same as I did the highlights on the planets. And I'm going to just be moving fast around the sheet. See, with it being a fat cap, and when you're missing or pressing the cap lightly, if you get quite a bit away from the painting, it does like do a bit loads of overspray, sprays a bigger wider line. But that's alright, because you can go back over with the black in a minute and blend the green and the black together. So I think what I'll do in the middle, I think I might do a bit of yellow in the middle. So I'm just going to spray a bit of a dot. Yeah, somewhere in the middle. So I'm just going to press this cap lightly. Yeah, like that. So I'm going to leave that like that. Now I'm just going to go back with the black. Just go over a bit of this green. Just wipe some of this paint off the nozzle. There's a bit of a build up. Try and keep your nozzle clean all the time, so then it doesn't spit or anything, and there's no build up of paint around the nozzle where the paint comes out. All you have to do, just give it a wipe with a cloth or something, so it gets rid of all the paint. So I'm just pressing the cap real lightly and moving away from the painting while doing this, because it does produce a wide line, and like I say, it lets quite a bit of paint out. So if you're pressing it lightly and spray away from the painting, just some of the paint will go onto the painting. So I like the look of that. I'm just going to add a bit more green, I think, a real light press of green. Try and blend it back in a bit, because it just looks bit too blocky at the moment, the green and the black. So I'm going to do the same. But like I said, with the fat caps, with it letting a lot of paint out and spraying wide lines, it's hard to do like some of the finer stuff in the painting. I might in fact just add a bit of yellow in places, I think. Break it up a bit. Just bring the yellow around, I think. A bit around this side. So I'm doing the same thing, misting it. Like I said, it's up to you while you're putting your background. So like that, I'm just going to go back over the black, just add a bit of black in places. Might cover most of this colour up, but we'll just press it lightly and see. So I'm going to get pretty close to the painting here. See what I mean? If you keep going over and over, it's just covering the colours up. thing that'll do, I think. We're gonna... I'll just put a bit of black here, I think. Just turn that down. So I'm moving fast here, just so not much paint goes on the painting. Right, I'm going to add a bit of green round that thing. A bit round there. Like I said, it's up to you what you put in your background. Just trial and error, experimenting, see what's what. Right, I think I'm going to leave that. Just add a bit of black down this bottom corner. Right, I'm going to leave that like that, because the more paint I add, the more it's going to cover the middle piece up. All this, like this galaxy thing here. So I'm liking the way the background looks now, so I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to move on to adding some stars to the painting. So with the white paint, we're going to spray some onto our fingers here. Like that. So once you have some white paint on your finger, you want to flick it away from the painting 2 or 3 times to get most of the paint off your fingers, and then flick the rest onto the sheet. That way you won't get big white blobs on your painting that don't look like stars. So we'll spray some white paint on fingers, and then flick it away a couple of times, 2-3 times, and then flick the rest onto the sheet. So you can add as many stars as you want to your painting, it's up to you. I think I'll add a couple more up the top here, some there. Couple more there. So I like them. So I'll just wipe this white paint off my fingers. So now we've added the small stars to the painting, I'm going to be adding a big star now. So I'm going to be using a metal paint scraper, but for this one I'm going to be using a bigger one. You can get like a range of different size paint scrapers. So this is for making smaller stars, and then you can use this to make bigger stars. So for this one I think I'm going to add a bigger star to this. So I'm going to sieve this one to one side, and I'm going to use this. So what I'm going to be doing is using the white paint to make the star. I'm going to be using a metal paint scraper to add the lines to the stars to make the lines. So all we'll be doing is placing a scraper over the painting where you want your star, and we'll spray the white paint here in the middle of the scraper, so the overspray will make the lines on your stars. So like I said, we'll get the metal paint scraper and place it on the sheet where you want your lines. I'm going to be spraying there in the middle. So with this being a fat cap, I know it's going to allow a lot of paint out. So when I spray that in a small area, there's going to be a lot of overspray off it. So I'm going to be pressing the cap lightly here. And what you want to do with it being a fat cap as well and letting a lot of paint out, there's going to be a lot of paint on your scraper. So what you want to do is you want to keep an eye on that, because if there's too much on there, it'll run off and leave big white blobs on your painting. So what I'm going to do is every time I do a line, I'm going to wipe this scraper with the, get some of the paint off it, so then it doesn't drip onto the painting. So when you've got that now, there's no paint on it. So I'll carry on doing the lines. Like I said, there's no rush when you're painting, when you're making spray paint art. Just take your time and enjoy while you're painting. This star isn't quite in the middle, so I'm just going to have to work with it now. So I'll do the next line here. Paint wasn't coming out then properly. It's because I was holding the can like this and it stopped spraying sometimes. All cans will do that. Stop spraying if you're holding that for too long of a time and you're just giving it short bursts. So I'll put the last line in. Wipe the scraper again. I think I'm going to put this line a bit bigger here to match the others. So there the line's done for the star. Yes, I know it's not in the middle, that was me. I didn't place it in the middle when I did the two lines. Never mind, it's alright. So now what I'm going to do is put a white dot in the middle, but first I'm just going to spray it on this piece of sheet here to see how big of a white dot it produces, the cap. So as you can see there, got a lot of build up of paint around the nozzle, so it's not doing a perfect circle. So I'm just going to give that nozzle a wipe, the cap, get rid of the paint that's around the nozzle. So then just a wipe cleans the nozzle. I'm not sure whether you can see on the camera, so I'll just try it again. Spray a bit there. I think it might be alright if I press it light. I don't think it's going to come out as a dot. As you can see there, it's not spraying right. It's coming out in a dot. Well, I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go and press it light, see what happens. So what I'm going to be doing is going to put a dot in the middle where the lines cross over. Hopefully I'll get it in the middle. So just lightly press it. So that's in the middle, but as you can see, I'm not sure why the cap's doing that, but it's not spraying a dot. It's spraying like, I don't know, a funny shape. More, it's almost like a squarish shape. As you can see over there, that's this pattern here, that's what it's done on here. I'm not sure why it's done that. Now we have the big star done in the painting, I'm going to be adding a different type of star, and for this I'm going to be using the cone shaped food tub with the hole in the bottom. And what I'll be doing for this is I'll be spraying the paint into the cone shape of the top, and the paint will come out of the bottom and produce your stars, which are a bit bigger than the ones we did with our fingers, but smaller than the big one here. So I'm going to do a couple of yellow ones first, the coloured ones. So I'm going to have one here, I think. So we'll hold it about an inch, inch and a half up away from the painting. Then we're just going to spray the paint through this. Then it produces a nice star there, nice coloured star. I think I'll have one here. I think I'll have one up here as well. Oh, and one here, why not? So now we've done the coloured stars, we can get the white and use a cone-shaped food tub again. We can just put a bit of white in each of the middle of these. So for this we'll get a bit closer, because we just want in the middle, and we're going to press the cap real light. So you just get a bit of white in it. See, I pressed that a bit too hard, so it come out a bit too much. But like I said, it'll take a bit of practice getting used to the pressure and how the cap sprays and how much paint the cap lets out and how far to press the cap down when you're doing different things. And we'll go on to this one, press this lightly. So there's a couple of coloured stars. You can also do it with the green if you want, or whatever colours you're using. Just going to add the green one up here just to show you. So I'm going to hold this about, I don't know, 2.5 inches away from the painting. I'm going to spray it in so it gives you a bigger star there. And for this one I'm going to add some yellow to it. So I'm going to get a bit closer to it. It's got like a green and yellowy glow off it. And then I'm just going to add a bit of white in the middle. So press the cap lightly. We've got that like that, quite like that, the green and yellow and the white in the middle. Looks like glowing stars, they do. So now we have some glowing stars. I might just add a couple of bigger white ones. I think I'll just add one here. Not many. One there. I think I'll add one here. And one up here. I think that'll do for that. And while I've got this cone-shaped object here and the white spray paint, I'm going to just fix this up a bit, I think. Just going to try and make it more of a round circle. So I'm just going to do the same process as I did these small stars. I'm just going to spray a bit of paint through here and through the hole to try and make it a bit more of a circle. So I'm just pressing the cap lightly here. So it's still not round, but I'm going to leave like that. I've took the straight edges off of the thing, so it looks a bit more better. So I'm going to leave that like that. So that's all the stars added to the painting. So now it's time to take the lid stencils back off. So like I said, I put the lid stencils on while the paint was still wet. So I'm expecting these to be a bit stuck, especially using a fat cap and an high pressure can. There was quite a bit of paint down and the paint was still pretty wet when I put the lid stencils on. But let's have a look and see what they're like. So I'll do a small one first. See, that's pretty wet, that was when I put that on. It was stuck a bit, but not too much. I'm not sure whether you can see on this one, but can you see on the lip of the lid rim there, can you see the paint? That's where it was stuck to the paint. So when you pull it off, it brings the paint off like that. And this is where the rings form because you pulled some of the paint off. now we'll go on to this one, the next one. That weren't too bad, that wasn't really stuck. There's no ring on the planet there. So we'll go to this one now. So this one's a bit stuck, so just take your time because the background's going to be still wet. So that one was slightly stuck and left a bit of a ring on it. So now I'm going to do this big one here. This one might be stuck a bit. So I've moved this lid a bit here now, trying to pull it off. So it might be a bit smudged at the end. Yeah, where the lid's moved there. I'm not sure whether you can see it in the video. So when I've lifted the lid up there with the background still being wet, I just pulled the lid slightly towards me. And as you can see, it's marked the planet here. So that's all the lid stencils off the planet. And I quite like how these planets have turned out. I like the colours on them. And I like the textures on each of the planets. I think they look really well. And as you saw when I was lifting the stencils off, some of them were stuck to the painting and left the ring on the planet. Like this one up here, I'm not sure whether you can see it. There's a bit of a ring here, that one got stuck. This one didn't get stuck. I'm not sure why, because the paint was wet when I put it on. But that's got no rings on it. Nice planet. This one got stuck just slightly here. That's left a bit of a ring. And on this one, it stuck a bit here. And when I was lifting off, I just moved it slightly and smudged the edge of the planet. So to avoid the lids from sticking, all you have to do is let the paint dry before placing the lid stencils on. So like I say, just take your time when you're painting and let each stage dry before moving on to the next one. Right then, there's one last thing to do before the painting's finished, and that is to sign the painting. So I'm going to be using a palette knife for this. And I'm just going to sign it here. So I think the Montana Black worked well for spray paint art. The oranged off fat cap that came with the cans worked okay. But with it being a fat cap, it did let a bit too much paint out at times. It also produced wide lines, which at times I found hard to paint things, especially misting and blending the colours with each other in the background. Even when pressing the cap lighter, it still produced a wide line. If I was going to use a Montana Black for spray paint art, I would use a different cap on the cans, like a skinny cap. This way there'd be less paint coming out and it would produce a thinner line, so it would be better for doing misting and blending, etc. The paint took a bit longer to dry, but that may be because there was a bit too much paint down from using a fat cap. If I was using a skinnier cap, the paint would have dried faster. The high pressure valve system gave a good control over how much paint came out when pressing the cap down with different pressures. It may just take a bit of practice getting used to the pressure and how far to press the cap down when doing different things. But overall I enjoyed painting with the Montana Black spray paint. It was a bit of a challenge painting with the fat cap, but I still like how the painting has turned out, even though I messed up the big star. I found it nice to use and the colours I chose were nice and bright. And also, just remember to take your time, enjoy while you're painting, and let each layer stage dry before moving on to the next. Right then, I'll just give you a closer look of the painting. So I hope you found the information in this video helpful and enjoyed watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for stopping by and watching. I hope to see you all in the next spray paint art video. Have a great day, take care and bye for now.